Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are unpacking a truly fascinating piece of source material. We're looking at an educational presentation originally designed not for us, but for young children. It's an entire lesson about decision-making, and what makes it absolutely brilliant is how it takes incredibly dense scientific material and translates it into something a kid can instantly grasp. In this explainer, we're going to deconstruct exactly how this works, step by step, to see how it builds such a rock-solid educational foundation. Okay, let's dive right into this. The core problem this source material tackles is actually pretty profound. How do we teach kids neurology? I mean, we're talking about a field that deals with complex brain chemistry, intricate neural pathways, abstract psychological concepts, the whole shebang. For a young audience, hitting them with dry, dense scientific reality is a guaranteed way to lose their attention in seconds. So the material has to somehow bridge this massive gap between the physical reality of the brain and the emotional reality of a child's everyday choices. And the way it solves this? It's immediate and it's brilliant.
Listen to this quote pulled directly from the speaker notes of the title slide. Hi friends, I'm Sunny. Today we are going to learn a secret about the hero inside your head, your brain. In just 2 sentences, boom, it completely disarms the complexity of the subject. It doesn't apologize for the science. Instead, it turns it into an exclusive, exciting secret. By introducing this character right out of the gate, the lesson pivots from what could have been a dry lecture into an interactive, engaging story.
Section 1. Meet Sunny the Brain. Personification as a teaching tool.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast. On one hand, you have neurology, right? The highly complex science of the nervous system. But on the other hand, you have this simplified translation, a secret about the hero inside your head. They've used a personified character, Sunny, who serves as this friendly, totally relatable guide. Sunny is essentially acting as a stand-in for the child's own neurological processes. So instead of learning about some gray organ inside their skull, the child is learning about a friend who lives there. It's a hugely effective way to build an accessible foundation for a subject that, honestly, usually requires years of higher education to understand.
Moving into Section 2, the happy hero metaphor, simplifying psychology. The very first message in this kid's presentation reads, "Why making good choices feels great. Your brain is a happy hero." This is just so cleverly constructed. By framing the brain as a happy hero, the content immediately links the active decision-making to incredibly positive, triumphant feelings. It tells the child that when they make a good choice, their brain isn't just, functioning properly, it's actively performing a heroic deed, and it feels awesome doing it. This metaphor is doing the heavy lifting here, simplifying complex psychological rewards into a concept literally every kid already loves, being a superhero.
And that brings us to Section 3, rewarding our wise choices through visual cues and pro-social actions.
So, the source material is secretly teaching kids about a very specific psychological concept called pro-social actions. Basically, these are behaviors intended to help others. But notice the language being used here. It doesn't use the clinical term pro-social, right? Instead, it frames these actions as wise behavior and positive choices. It's a really empowering vocabulary. The entire goal of the lesson is to teach kids about the positive feelings associated with this wise behavior, creating a direct link in their minds between helping others and feeling like a hero themselves.
But think about it. How do you visually represent something as invisible as internal satisfaction? Well, the source material describes the visual animation on its title slide as Sunny the Brain waving next to a giant gold star. And guys, this is an absolute masterclass in visual communication for kids. Internal satisfaction is incredibly abstract. You can't just draw it. But a giant gold star, every single child universally recognizes that as a symbol of achievement, approval, and reward. By pairing Sunny with the gold star, the lesson uses a powerful visual cue to reinforce the connection between those pro-social actions we just talked about and the very real internal satisfaction the child is going to feel.
And this brilliantly illustrates the entire core educational loop of the source material. Step 1, the child makes a positive choice, engaging in that pro-social wise behavior. Step 2, brain processing occurs, represented by Sunny, our happy hero, doing the work inside their head. And Step 3, the internal reward is triggered, conceptualized perfectly by that giant gold star of internal satisfaction. The lesson just seamlessly maps a complex neurological feedback loop into a simple, 3-step narrative that a child can easily memorize, and more importantly, actually put into practice. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating takeaway from this entire explainer. The source material goes to such great lengths to make the mechanics of decision-making incredibly clear for a young mind. It breaks down the internal reward system perfectly. But, it forces a bit of a reflection on us, too. If a child can be taught to grasp the neurology of a positive choice through a character like Sunny and a giant gold star, well, how well do we as adults actually understand the happy hero driving our own daily decisions? Are we still actively aware of our own internal reward systems, or have we maybe lost touch with that simple positive feedback loop of making a wise choice? Definitely something to think about the next time you have a big decision to make.